Hey everybody, what's happening? Jake here. Today we're going to be going over my personal ranking of the Friday the 13th franchise. As you see here, I have my Scream Factory complete Blu-ray box set of Friday the 13th. Look at this awesome cover art here with all Jason's different little versions and whatnot. And gotta finish it off with Sackhead Jason right here and sick little pic of the mask. In this video, I am not going to be including Freddy vs. Jason. I did not include Freddy vs. Jason in my Elm Street ranking either, because I've always just viewed Freddy vs. Jason as more of a standalone. And, you know, if I was forced to put Freddy vs. Jason in either one of the franchises, it probably would be Elm Street, because it feels more like Freddy's movie. But other than that, it's just sticking on its own. So, without further ado, let's get into this, and we're going to start things off for you. So we're going to start it off in last place with Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. What do I need to say that hasn't already been said about how awful this film is? I mean, just pure and utter garbage. I mean, no. I mean, I don't like the whole meatball head Jason look in the beginning. You know, the whole invasion of the body snatchers kind of gig. This was it felt like that to some sort of degree. I mean, I remember watching this as a little kid, just thinking, where's Jason? Where's Jason? What's this crap? I mean, Creighton Duke was kind of cool, but very underutilized. But I've thought at the same time, you know, you're 9 movies in, maybe, just maybe it was a good thing that Jason wasn't subjected to this pile of dog shit. Maybe it was better that he was only in it in a little bit in the beginning and a little bit at the end, but still hate it. Do I have to say anything about this? Jason X. I mean, yes, this is my opinion. I was a young kid when Jason X came out, and you know, I thought Uber Jason looked cool. That's about it. I mean, they recreated the whole sleeping bag kill, and they tried making Jason think he was back at Crystal Lake, and those girls telling him they wanted to have premarital sex and smoke pot and all this and that. I'm just like, no, it's just pretty corny. I mean, that liquid nitrogen kill was kind of cool, but Kane Hodder as Jason, I've never been a big fan. And Jason Goes to Space, I mean, look what it did to Leprechaun, look what it did to Hellraiser, and it surely did it to Friday the 13th. Not a big fan. And then we have Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Oh my goodness. It really should be Jason Takes a Boat Ride. And he wasn't even in Manhattan, he was in Vancouver, because they didn't have the money to go and shoot in New York. What you're looking at right here is, in my opinion, the only redeemable part of this film, the poster. The theatrical poster of this is pretty epic, you know, and then you get, you know, Jason with the slashing through I Heart New York. I liked that. I mean, as a kid, I loved the whole Julius boxing scene and punching his head off and it falling into the dumpster. But I mean, it just, you know, seeing Jason as a little kid in all sort of different weird ways, and he always looks like he's of some different ethnicity every time you see him, and then at the end, you know, the toxic waste turns him back into a little boy. It was pathetic. I'm not a big fan of this film, but I can watch to make fun of it. This might be controversial to some, but I was not a big fan of the Friday the 13th remake. I love it compared to, let's say, the remake of Elm Street. The first 15-20 minutes of this movie, I was jumping out of my seat. I was freaking out. It felt like Friday the 13th, 1, 2, 3, and 4 blended in one. It felt like a recap of the first 4 films. I mean, I was going nuts. But then it's too polished. It's too new. The cast of characters in here, Derek Mears is one hell of a Jason, I'll tell you that right now, but I was not the biggest fan of this film, and I just never have been able to grasp it and really, really love it like some people have. But if you love this, there's nothing wrong with that. This is just my opinion. Next, we have The New Blood, Jason versus Carrie. I mean, yeah, Kane Hodder's best performance as Jason, but overall, they were running out of ideas. They were running out of ideas, and this is what they came up with. I don't know what to say, but I can watch this movie and tolerate it. It's kind of on the same kind of feel for me as like Halloween 5. I like to watch it to make fun of it. Jason versus Carrie is kind of, the concept is kind of cool, but, Lara Park Lincoln made an alright final girl in the series, was alright, but overall, don't love the movie too much. One of the most underrated Friday the 13th movies, A New Beginning. I mean, Tommy Jarvis. Imagine if Corey Feldman came back to play Tommy Jarvis. Imagine if they only said it like a year later. Imagine if The Goonies was not filming at the same time as this, and they were able to have like Trish and Tommy come back and show like the effects of what the final chapter did to him, and Jason really was dead. I love me some Roy Burns. That is not the problem with this film. But there's a lot of crazy kills in here. But, the actor that played Tommy Jarvis in this was probably my least favorite out of the Jarvis trilogy. And, I mean, I do love this movie. I watch it because I don't mind that it's Roy and not Jason. I look at it through that lens. Maybe as a little kid it confused me and pissed me off, but overall I don't care, and I'm still cool with this. Some people might think it's a little crazy that I have Jason Lives like kind of smack dab in the middle, but I pretty much from here on it's all movies that I really do love, but just the ones in front of it I love more. Tom Matthews gives a great performance as Tommy Jarvis. He the whole Frankenstein effect in the beginning, and resurrected by lightning, and the beginning of zombie Jason. Alice Cooper, just like what Dawkins did to Dream Warriors, Alice Cooper, man behind the mask, Jason Lives. I can watch this movie. I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites, but just not right at the top. I know a lot of people think this is number one for them, number one or number two, but it doesn't mean that I don't love this movie any less just because it's not at number one or number two. For instance, I have Part 3D ahead of Jason Lives because Richard Brooker is just a badass Jason Voorhees. You get, Chris was a pretty good final girl, I'd say. Had a great, chase scene with Jason in that final act, and all that they went through, and getting to see Jason don his hockey mask from Shelley. Oh my God, Shelley. Woof, one heck of a crazy character, but, we didn't have Crazy Ralph in here. It was a little sad, but, it's there's some goofy comedic elements to this with, the biker gang and everything else, but I mean, overall, I think this movie does take itself serious enough where I can enjoy it and be cool with it. Overall, I'm alright right where it is. It's in my number 4 spot. And then I have Friday the 13th, the final chapter. In a lot of people's opinion, this is either number 1 or 2 for them. For me, I got it number 3. In my opinion, though, this is the quintessential. This is a perfect definition of the slasher film. Everything that Jason does in this. I mean, a lot of time he's lurking in the background. I mean, you don't really see a lot of Jason as Ted White as Jason till that third and final act. I mean, it's got a really good suspenseful build up to it. Corey Feldman as Tommy Jarvis, Crispin Glover in there doing his dance. I mean, it's just love is a lie. I mean, I love it. It's fun as hell. And I mean, I was saying before, I mean, Ted White is a badass Jason. He is going crazy. I mean, that shot to the head, you see that crack in that mask. You know, that was from part 3 with the axe to the head, but then you see Tommy smacking Jason with that machete and him sliding down that blade, and then at the end Tommy just whoops Jason's ass and just kills him. He just takes him out. That's engraved in my brain forever, and that's why I love the final chapter. But it cannot top for me Friday the 13th part 2. Amy Steele, Ginny, the greatest final girl in Friday the 13th, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. You got Sackhead Jason. You've got Crazy Ralph. You have got, in my opinion, the greatest kill in the Friday the 13th franchise. Mark in the wheelchair, getting that machete to the face and falling back in his wheelchair down those stairs going, you know, I freaking love it. You know, just it just felt it was such a perfect follow-up to Friday the 13th. You really felt like you were at the same camp, the same lake. It was fantastic. I love this film, but I don't love it more than the original Friday the 13th. I know a lot of people might not have the original Friday the 13th as their number one because Jason is not the killer. I understand that. We have Pamela Voorhees, Betsy Palmer as the killer, and then cute little baby Jason, you know, little boy Jason jumping out of the water and pulling Alice under in that canoe at the end. You know, it is what it is. But I mean, you know, Kevin Bacon's kill with that arrow, you know, I love it. I mean, help me, mommy, help me. You know, Pamela Voorhees stalking these kids, this old woman just beating the shit out of Alice and going toe-to-toe with her, but then her taking that swing and just whacking her head right off. That was just epic. That did redeem Alice for being kind of a chump throughout the whole movie, and then at the end, taking Mrs. Voorhees out. I love it. You know, Crazy Ralph is one of my 3 all-time favorite, like, side characters in horror. You know, I just love it. You know, you're all doomed. Things like that. It's just, it's a cheesy, corny 80s slasher, you know, but this movie, you know, this was inspired from Halloween, and then this movie inspired that whole run we got in the 80s. And I love it from every bit of my heart. So thank you guys very, very much, and I really hope you enjoyed this. Let me know down in the comments below your ranking. What do you think of the Friday the 13th franchise? And like I keep saying, who cares if Jason Goes to Hell is your favorite, if Jason X is your favorite, if you don't like part 2 or the final chapter, it doesn't matter. We're all horror fans. If you're watching this video, you are a Friday the 13th fan, and that's all good. So let's just keep this train rolling. Thank you guys very much. Peace out.